What's goody, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at again with a brand new video. And I'm keeping it bold, Bray Biscuit. I have a lot to say about yesterday's game between the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. A game the Panthers lost in a 24-27 contest that went down to the very end of the game. Now, if you watched my pregame preview, my prediction stream I had, I think it was on Friday, I said that the Panthers would probably win this game 24-27 if we kept both Dante and Eli Apple in the game, if they didn't get hurt. And it turned out my prediction was half right. Both those guys stayed healthy. The final score was 24-27, except for the bad guys. And this was kind of a bittersweet loss, I think, because for me, and I might be alone on this, I thought this was actually a pretty decent game from the Panthers. And I saw a lot of good things this team can build on moving forward, especially with the number of players that we had missing on both sides of the ball, meaning offensive line, defensive line. We know we missed Rasul Douglas. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey has not been in the game since week 2. All right, we haven't seen C-Mac in a minute now, but even in those few games we haven't seen him, we've had some pretty good offense. We've seen the run game not be so bad until this game right here against the Saints. The run game really was not working in the least bit at all, but we still had an opportunity to win this game. I'll get to why I think this is actually a pretty good game, even though we lost here in a minute. Let's go over the bigger facts of this game. Even though we had guys missing on both sides of the ball, so did the Saints. The two biggest names, Slant Boy, Michael Thomas, and Emmanuel Sanders. Drew Brees proved you don't need to have a Michael Thomas or even a player who's really good like Emmanuel Sanders to throw intermediate routes all game. It looked to me and to everyone else in the first half of this game, Phil Snow, Phil Snow is a little old. He's an older dude, okay? They call him the Yoda of defense, and Yoda is mad old. I ain't watched The Mandalorian, so I don't know about Baby Yoda. It don't really mean nothing to me. But Yoda is an old dude, right? So Phil Snow is hearkening back to the old days, like I'm talking about 1976, back when Drew Brees was 30. Back when Drew Brees had an arm. Back when Drew Brees could really sling the rock 80 yards up past them mountains down yonder, where he actually could throw the ball deep. Phil Snow said, I think what I'm going to do with these zones is I'm going to show a little bit too much respect to Drew Brees, and the zones we were running were in the right places, just like 3 yards too deep. I felt like all during the first half of this game, we saw there were guys in the general area, but they were just all too deep. And it wasn't just one dude. It wasn't just like a guy like Tyre Whitehead was too deep or like just Shaq Thompson. It was every single player in the zone was respecting Drew Brees' deep pass a little too much. And if you've been watching Drew Brees the last several years, you know he has one of the lowest average air yards of any quarterback in the National Football League. And that includes the very, very bad quarterbacks who have no business being mentioned in this same sentence as Drew Brees. So I won't do it here out of a slight bit of respect to Drew Brees right now. But he's been a short passer for a long time in this league. And in the first half of this game, we saw Drew Brees and the Saints score 21 points because our defense just was not in the right position. We saw Marquez Callaway become Drew Brees' favorite target because he was running 7 yards up the field, turning around and saying, okay, I'm right here. I'm open. They are 9 yards down the field. They're just 1 or 2 yards too far away, and they will not get here before the ball does Drew Brees. Throw me the rock. I'll get 7 yards consistently. And that's about what he did all game. Jared Cook, I mentioned this in my video. I said, look, without Michael Thomas, without Emmanuel Sanders, that is a very, very big advantage for us in secondary. Now, we don't have Justin Burris and we don't have Rasul Douglas, so it kind of evens out. We have their third and fourth stringers against our second and third stringers in some spots. But I also said the two biggest weapons in this game, Alvin Kamara, Jared Cook. Jared Cook is literally Cam Newton playing tight end. He's 6'5", 250, and we saw Trey Boston had no business guarding him. He didn't even turn around. So even on that touchdown that Jared Cook caught in the back right corner of the end zone, where he just plucked it out the air over top of Trey didn't turn around. It would have been DPI regardless. There was no one on the team who really could have stopped Jared Cook. And once again, this is our third game we've gone against one of the elite tight ends, and I'm not talking about the Bucs game because even in that game, Gronk wasn't really doing much. I don't count him. I don't even count him. I'm talking about the Raiders, the Chargers, and now the Saints. Even the Saints did not go to Jared Cook very often, targeted him 4 times, only had 3 receptions, 1 touchdown, had 32 total yards. We did not have an answer for Jared Cook. We just also didn't have an answer for some of the other guys on the team. But I feel like if Drew Brees really wanted to, just like if Derek Carr and Justin Herbert, if they really wanted to go to their tight ends more, it would have been open all game. They didn't. They had other options, and those options ended up working. And I heard everything every fan of the Panthers was saying, talking about fire Phil Snow. Phil Snow is garbage. Phil Snow has no idea what he's doing. But I feel like they were sticking mostly to the first half in the Old Testament of this game, and they completely forgot about the New Testament because if you remember, Phil Snow's defense allowed 21 points in the first half, let alone Brian Burns' strip sack on Drew Brees right after that 74-yard touchdown pass to DJ Moore. And we sandwiched that strip sack play with a drive that ended in DJ getting another touchdown on one of those little cheap little, flip pass plays. Happens in the backfield. It's basically a run, but it's a little forward pass from Teddy. 7 yards, touchdown, basically 14 uninterrupted points for the Panthers. And we see a team in the Panthers down 4 points to the Saints, who scored 21 points in the first half. And I've been mentioning this since the beginning of the season. I don't really care about the outcome so much as I care about Joe Brady and Phil Snow proving they can both improve and adjust over time, because both these dudes are on contracts. This is a rebuilding, retooling, whatever you want to call it. This year did not have very high expectations for the Panthers from many fans at all. Okay, being 3-4 right now isn't the end of the world for Panthers fans at all. This division is still looking pretty good, and we might be able to get a wild card spot for the playoffs. Let's not go that far yet. I said the word adjust, right? Do you like when a defensive-minded coach, your coordinator, gets 21 points scored on his head in the first half, and it's all because of one specific thing he is mis-scheming in his defense? He comes out in the second half, changes that. You see everyone about a yard or two closer to the line of scrimmage in their zones, making immediate tackles, breaking up passes. Passes are going incomplete, and he only allows 6 total points in the second half of NFL football. He held the Saints to two solitary field goals. It was not a touchdown with a missed PAT. He held them to 2 field goals in the whole second half after allowing 21 points. And you want to fire a man who turns around and adjusts that well against a team that was moving the ball on us extremely easily? No KK, no Rasul, no Justin Burris, who was actually pretty good. We have Corn Elder out there, actually looking good. Tahir Whitehead. I know we don't like Tahir Whitehead that much around these parts, but he looked good. And what I did notice, maybe y'all didn't notice this, but in the game, there were specific plays, usually on third down, where Phil Snow put Shaq Thompson at the mic, and he had Tahir on the outside. There was even some plays where on third down, Tahir was even off the field completely. So we do switch those two around sometimes. And there was a play that it was Alvin Kamara up the middle where Shaq Thompson takes the wrong angle. And I think that was the 22-yard run that Alvin Kamara had. No, it was 32. It was 32 yards Alvin Kamara had. That was Shaq Thompson playing middle linebacker, taking the wrong angle, going at the wrong hole, and allowing a long run. Now, it's not all on him because we have some very bad tackling plays in general. But another thing about this defense is this is a bend but don't break defense. So we're going to allow some yards up and down the field. But when it comes to it, in the red zone, we make stops, okay? Earlier on in the game, the scheme was just messed up, and then Jared Cook on one play, Jared Cook's going to do what he wants to. We have no answer for Jared Cook. We don't have the linebackers or the safeties, really, to guard Jared Cook consistently. They could have done a lot more work if they used Jared Cook in the scheme a little bit more. On the flip side, we can do a lot more work if we ever target a tight end ever. That's a video for a different day, though. The way Phil Snow adjusted this defense in the second half has to be commended. The first half was bad, okay? First half was bad. We're only down 4 points. We only allow 6 total points in the second half, and we're still upset with Phil Snow. I don't know. To me, I think Phil Snow did an extremely good job with the players he had at his disposal and made sure he gave them the best information, the best scheme, the best adjustments to have the team in position to make winning and tying plays at all points of this NFL football game. There were 2 lead changes, 2 different lead ties. We were tied at 24 apiece. The Saints did get some very good plays, to get into field goal range. And there was 1 touchdown they scored where the man runs a zig route, pushes off. He pushes off on his route, gets open. That does not get called. That was 7 points that should have been brought back. The refs are going to do what they do. They're giving the Saints makeup calls in the regular season so they can get what they're going to get in the playoffs if they get there. And I'm okay with that. Let the Saints make the playoffs and then handle them there, refs. You go ahead and handle them how you handle them the past 2 years. Get them out of here. I'm 100%, well, not 100%, we could have won this game. But I'm all right with that because I know what the refs are going to do for me later on in the year, more like January. Okay, I feel you, refs. We could have gotten that one on that call, but I'm holding out hope you do your job that we pay you for in January. On a serious note, 65 yards from Joey Sly, a kick that was almost good. A kick where if we weren't in a dome, even the slightest bit of wind carries that over. 1 yard short. If the ball flipped a little differently, it could have just eked over the crossbar. That was a good kick. Now, did Teddy take a horrible, horrible sack? Of course he did. The offense just fell off. There was some bad decision making on offense. There were some good plays on offense and some bad breakdowns on defense from the Saints. But for the most part, I saw an offense that looked all right, but really struggled to find its identity once it found out the running game was not working. Mike Davis, 7 carries for 12 yards, did not get it done. Miles Hartsfield, I like the dude, but I even said this during the training camp. I said, look, bro, I don't like the idea of a guy playing on 2 sides of the ball, especially a guy that young and, not that great at either spot. I'd rather him get 100% of his PT, of his practice time at one spot and him get better and have the skill set for that one thing. And he actually is an expert at that thing, and not a jack of all trades, but a master of none, that sort of thing. And we saw that the pass game was good, okay? Another game where DJ, almost 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robbie Anderson, 74 yards on 6 receptions. That looks good. Curtis got involved. He had 6 catches, less than 50 yards, but it was all good. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Once again, like I mentioned, we don't know what a tight end is. We find Ian Thomas once, and I promise you, Ian Thomas is open. He's open. We just look him off. Teddy does not like tight ends. I don't know if it's Joe Brady, but Teddy is on the field, sees his tight ends open, and looks them off specifically. And I'm hearing talk about trading for a tight end. On what universe? We don't even hit the wide open ones. I don't see that happening at all. This was a game that, I don't want to call it missed opportunities, but it was a game that should have gone to OT and would have been decided by a coin flip, and not even in the way you think. At this point in the game, both defenses were playing good. This isn't one of those games that goes to OT and whoever wins the coin toss gets the first touchdown, they go ahead and win. I think the first team to get the ball gets stopped. I think both Ds were playing good at this point in the game. It was so late. I think whoever gets the ball first would have gotten stopped, and the second team to get the ball would have had to go and get a field goal. And Joey Sly was only bad by 1 yard from 65 yards out. If the Panthers lose that coin flip, I believe they would have stopped the Saints and gotten into field goal range and been able to actually win the game in OT. Now, obviously, if we won this coin toss, we weren't going to defer. No one defers in OT. You have to show your offense you have faith in them, at least a little bit of faith in them. There is nothing from the second half of play from our defense that shows me the Saints would have gone down and scored a touchdown on one drive. They had several drives in the second half, and our defense stepped up. They bent, didn't break, only allowed 2 field goals. This was a game that could have easily gone to OT and could have easily been decided by a field goal. Turns out, went to regulation, and it was decided by a late, long field goal because Teddy Bridgewater took a sack. We were in field goal range. We're still almost in field goal range from 65 deep. It's one of those things. But still, watching Phil Snow adjust from the first half to the second half against Drew Brees with, I guess, respectable weapons in a respectable scheme, watching him adjust that well from first to second half lets me know this team's in good shape. If we have C-Mac, we win this game. If we have Rasul Douglas, we win this game. Even Justin Burris, I believe having a strong safety we actually know can play well in all situations, we win this game. So I'm not all that worried. This doesn't show me that the team is bad or horrible or anyone needs to be fired. I'm seeing this defense play way better than I expected. Now, maybe y'all out there who want to fire Phil Snow had much higher expectations for this defense before this year started. Maybe maybe I'm the one with low expectations. Maybe y'all foresaw us having a very good defense so far this year and having 3 wins right now. 3-4 in the first 7 weeks of the year is actually probably higher than most people would have thought for this team as presently constructed, especially when you consider Christian McCaffrey's been out for 6 weeks, right? 5 weeks, right? Christian McCaffrey's been out for 5 weeks. Did you believe we'd be this good without Christian McCaffrey? This offense would move outside of this game without Christian McCaffrey. Even the defense without Rasul Douglas. Maybe my thought process is off, but I thought that was a pretty damn good game given the circumstances in the context of that game. I think Phil Snow did good. I think borderline great. We ended up losing. It's tough, unlucky. That's how I feel about it. What are your thoughts? Let me know everything you're thinking in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.